Welcome back to my How to Use series. Today we're going over stone, diorite, granite, and andesite. Starting off with stone, it might be one of the best blocks in the game simply because look at this variety of block types. You can have regular, you can have cobblestone, you can have mossy cobble, you can have stone bricks, you can have mossy cobble, that's mossy stone bricks, or you can have smooth stone. And each one is good for its own purposes. Like this, and it's also just a great neutral color for many like medieval builds and stuff. But moving on to gradients, we have the simple like gray to green. Now this one ends with a bluish green, which is a little unique, but I think it looks pretty good when used correctly, like over there. Well, it wasn't really used correctly, but it was just showing it off. And then we have just the grayscale ones, because grayscale is probably the best version of using it. Just putting it in a grayscale palette or the mossy palette, or gradient. So like I said, stone goes really well with moss. It also goes really well with spruce and another neutral. It goes really well with granite and bricks, because these are just good other ones. I believe this one I specifically made for like the factory look. And this one is just another good combination. But since stone is a neutral color, you can really just kind of mix and match it with any like wood type and then like another stone or something. Just general things to make it look good. So over here we have a fort made of stone. I think this looks really nice. I especially love the like wood details and this flag. I think I'm just gonna add these here. Yeah, flags are kind of finicky, so you just kind of have to keep going at it until you eventually find a design you like. But like, yeah, that looks pretty good. Then it also can look really good in ruins like this, where it just kind of looks destroyed, which it can very easily do with its variety of mossy and like destroyed ones like regular cobblestone. I think it can look really good in that. And it also is really useful for medieval fantasy builds, because stone is often seen as like the base layer. Now, looking at it, there's not much stone here, but that's just because I put a lot of texturing into this. If you were to just make a basic stone in andesite one, it would look pretty good as well. It's not just the fact that I put in like 20,000 blocks for gradients. And then doesn't really matter as much to stone, but you just kind of add like basic medieval roof and stuff, and you're pretty good. So we're going to move on to diorite. And something you're going to notice with diorite, granite, and andesite, I forgot to change those, but that doesn't matter, is that there's very limited actual block types. There's regular, and there's polished. They have basic stair and slab, and one wall, but only for their unpolished version. I feel like there should be a polished wall, but like, that's besides the point. So we have a general white to brown, another different type of white to brown, and a white to black. And I think the white to black is the only really useful one, because I've rarely seen this. I have seen it, but like, it's usually this is replaced with like a bone block or something. It's never really diorite. Diorite's mainly used in the white to black gradients. And diorite, since it's a white, it pairs really well with the black because they're super high contrast colors, so they always work together. And then they also work well with some bricks and other neutrals, and a neutral and a pop of color. Like, that's something that you're always going to see in palettes, is a neutral, then a like half neutral like this brown wood, and then a pop of color like this red roof. Speaking of which, I really like this design. This is my first attempt at making a roof like this, where it's like flat here, and then it like concaves in where, like, you know, you can see what I'm talking about. But I think it looks really nice and neat. And then over here, we have a blue roof and a simple base. Now, like I said before, diorite isn't the main focus of these because in order to make it look good, you're not going to just make it solely out of diorite. You're going to introduce other blocks so that when you step back, it adds an artificial shading. Like, in real life, it would be all just one type of thing. But here, we can add in shading so that you see how this kind of how light would come down here and then make a shadow going this way. Same thing with light coming down and like kind of wrapping around that way. Now, if I were to remake this, I'd probably actually keep the light source consistent, or just have a light source in mind so that I can remember where to put shadows and stuff. But just adding a simple dark on bottom, light on top is just a good idea, because it just pretty much always looks good. So, with that out of the way, let's move on to Granite. Like I said before, Granite has a very limited palette, with it only having, like, 7 blocks to work with. So, well, it wouldn't be called a palette, it'd be variety, but like, whatever. And we have just some simple palettes. Or gradients, I keep getting the two words mixed up, but I wouldn't necessarily make a build with these, because the whole point of Granite is honestly just to make bricks look better, like you'll see over there. So it also goes really well with sandstone, and it goes really well with basic stones and andesites. So moving on, you can see how this will blend in really nice and just add little, like, this part is damaged. Because you're never really going to be full on making out of granite. You're going to be making out of bricks and then texturing in the granite. And then over here we have, I think it's a Greek house, I believe, where it has like the lavender field, it has some bushes, and it has just this type of roof. But I think it looks really good. I like how I framed it, and I like this lavender field. The granite roof is okay, though. I would want to change it up a little, but it's more of an example of what you can do. So, on to our final block, Andesite. And let me just quickly change this. Alright, it has been fixed, and again, low variety in block palette types, and textures for it, because stone has an insane amount, but like granite, the main 3 stones that are still at like the top layer, that's kind of like what these are, of those ones that you find in big patches near where stone spawns before you get to deep slate level. These are the 3 ones, and andesite, it might be the most boring of the 3, because it's basically just stone but slightly lighter, so it works well in any stone palette. Like all of these I was shown before, except the polished andesite. Well, I have shown before, but the thing with polished andesite is that it actually is really nice for a platform. Like I usually use it in the Japanese build type stuff, where, you know, a platform like this, it would look good. But just in general, polished andesite always looks really nice. And like I said earlier, it just kind of mixes really well with stone. So yeah, that's a bit of a bummer to end the episode on, because, you know, it's not that big or important of a block. But that's gonna be it for this episode. I really enjoyed making these builds. I enjoyed teaching you all. So that's gonna wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, yada yada. Goodbye.